What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Can you feel it right now? It's starting to feel a bit like E3, isn't it? Well, according to Sony, we might not have to wait for too long to see an announcement from E3, just a bit early. We're going to talk about that a little later. Now, we have a lot of stuff to go over, including Nintendo's E3 presentation that they've named, and it looks like they're going to have a guest there who's been there before, but I think there's going to be a lot of Nintendo fans who want to see why they're there and what they have to announce. First, though, let's get into some quick news. Code Vein did get a release date. It's actually coming out towards the end of September. It's September 27th. Of course, this is right now coming to the PS4, Xbox One, and Steam. I say right now because there are a lot of people who in the background right now saying, oh, there's probably a Switch version coming at some point. But, of course, PS4, Xbox One, and Steam. Steam is a day later, it appears. That's actually coming September 28th, but the console versions are coming September 27th. I know there's quite a few people who have been kind of keeping an eye on this game and waiting for it. We've seen different trailers, and it looks like it's going to be an interesting type of game. I'm still not even really sure what it is completely, but it's something I'll check out, of course. I think there's a lot of people who at least want to try it out and see, so we'll see how this game goes and what kind of, I guess, reviews that it gets. Also, well, you know what? E3 leaks are everywhere, like we keep saying. Fortnite on the Switch is, I think, as obvious as it gets right now, and it seems like Nintendo is prepping it along with Epic Games for possibly a release soon. And this is very interesting. See, the eShop gets a lot of updates pushed to it pretty consistently. Well, it looks like they've been pushing Fortnite. Yeah, Fortnite updates to the Switch eShop. In fact, one of our people that we usually keep an eye on for the different hacking parts of the eShop where they data mine them, Michael, over on Twitter, found a couple things. They actually found an entire update file that was pushed that's just called Fortnite Update. And wouldn't you know it, they found the icon that's actually going to go on the front home screen. So there you go. We have Fortnite updates getting pushed. We have the icon already there. So what do you guys think the odds are, all right, of Fortnite being announced and then released within the week, maybe the same day? Could it be a June release in general? Or, like I said, maybe they come out on the stage or they're just in a direct, they're like, oh, you know, Fortnite, and it's available to download after this presentation ends. Like something like they did with the Octopath Traveler demo, if you remember that, where they said after this direct is done, you'll be able to go and download the demo and try it out and give your feedback. In this case, though, it would be Fortnite. You go, you buy it, or I guess you just download it. There's one you can buy as well. Most people are going to download the free Battle Royale mode that is more than likely showing up on the Switch as well, since that's the hottest thing right now is the free Battle Royale mode. Then, of course, you buy, you know, extra little things from the eShop. That's more than likely what the update is for, is to enable purchases through the eShop for different things. Obviously, currency lets you buy, you know, different things in the game. Also, NBA 2K19 had the cover athlete revealed. It is LeBron James, and due to some marketing that's kind of out there, if you didn't already figure, there will be a Switch version to go along with, of course, the PS4 and the Xbox One version that are pretty much status quo at this point. I think people were interested to see how it sold and if 2K and Take-Two would continue that partnership, and it looks like they are, as different marketing standees and stuff out there have the Switch logo and everything on there. So there you go. If you're a basketball fan, maybe you bought it on the Switch and you liked the portable NBA 2K experience, you can look forward to it this year with LeBron James on the cover. All right, guys, so with all that quick news out of the way, let's get into some of the bigger stuff. And we're going to start with Sony, because Sony announced their press conference they're going to do later on. It's going to be next week. It's going to be Monday night they're going to do it. It's like 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And they talked about how they're going to do deep dives on some of their bigger stuff, and they're going to have some reveals for different third parties, more than likely. Maybe they have a few little things kind of up their sleeves, but they pretty much told us what they're going to show us, right? The basics. Death Stranding is one that I really want to see, though, because I think we all want to know what's going on and what the gameplay is like. But Sony has decided that they want to be first. They want to be first to make some E3 announcements. Now, of course, they're not going to be completely first, as, well, everyone's leaking things at this point, so technically there have already been quite a few E3 announcements, essentially, but Sony wants to make it official, and they put this out on their blog, where they state that every day now, apparently, beginning today, June 6th, they're going to start announcing different just reveals. So it could be a couple different things. For example, today, that's going to be 8 a.m. Pacific time. So if you're watching this at 8 a.m. Eastern, in about 3 hours, they're going to have a new PS4 game with PlayStation VR support. I wonder what that could be. Could it be Resident Evil 2? Probably not. They probably want to save that for their own showcase. But if I was Capcom, I'd be very interested in being a part of this because, hey, you have all eyes on you. You're the one E3 announcement for that day. As you see, Thursday, a release date for an upcoming Worldwide Studios title, and then Friday, announce a new PS4 game, a new PS VR game on Saturday, and then details an eagerly anticipated game comes to PlayStation VR, and that is Sunday, June 10th. So, yes, there you go, and that's going to lead all the way up to their Monday presser they're going to be doing that night. Good idea, I think, by Sony, if they really have these many announcements, which it doesn't have to all be Sony stuff. It could be third-party stuff that's also going to other platforms, but it seems to be a pretty heavy emphasis here on PlayStation VR, probably because even if it is a third-party game, PlayStation VR is, well, by default, its own thing, obviously. The Xbox doesn't have a VR headset. So, cool idea by Sony, and it's fun to look forward to something, because now we know every day, pretty much, we're going to get a new announcement. So, just look forward to it. That's going to be 8 a.m. Pacific time, pretty much every day leading up to Sony's E3 presser. And it's going to be a lot of fun seeing what they have to show us. Next up, let's talk about Nintendo's E3 press conference. Well, really, Direct that they're going to do. We keep calling it Nintendo Direct, even though there's no real title. Now, technically, there is a title, as they put out on their Twitter account for Nintendo of America a whole list of stuff that's going to happen, and you can see right here yourself, it's called Nintendo Direct E3. So yes, they are naming it a Direct. They also go over a couple other things like the different invitationals that they're doing, and it looks like we're going to get a pretty solid Nintendo Direct here. Obviously, it's at E3. This is where probably their biggest Direct would be, although they tend to do Directs whenever they want throughout the year anyway. So, you know, later on this year, as they've talked about, because it looks like, even according to them here, it's going to be 2018 titles for the Nintendo Switch is what they're going to show. Notice they didn't really say anything about the 3DS. I don't really know if they're going to talk much about the 3DS there, possibly in the Treehouse, which will immediately follow the Direct, where they do, you know, technically gameplay deep dives on all the games that were announced there, and then possibly some new ones, like remember last year they introduced the Metroid Samus Returns on the 3DS at the Treehouse. That's a great place for them to do that. And if you want just another little reason, I'll say little reason, to get excited for the Nintendo Direct, well, after that went up, it looks like Sakurai himself will be a part of the presentation. This is actually a tweet that he put out, and we're going to have it translated by Twitter's super reliable translation methods, and this is what it had to say. Of course, I will introduce something. It's been a while. So, yeah, apparently Sakurai is going to be part of that Nintendo Direct presentation, pre-recorded, I would say, unless maybe he does show up at the Treehouse. That would be something. But now we get to wonder what's he going to introduce here. I guess since Super Smash Bros. Is, of course, one of the big focal points of E3, maybe he's going to show up and either show off new aspects of the game, or he's going to show up and introduce maybe a guest character that he's picked out and is putting in the game. That would be really neat, because now everyone can guess, who are they putting in there? There are a lot of rumors right now. Man, there are rumors everywhere. It probably happens every time a new Smash Brothers game comes out, I guess, but there's a lot of them out there. There's even a rumor floating around right now, guys, that Microsoft would have some kind of representation, some kind of character in this game. And of course, we hear Rare saying they don't mind lending out their IPs for the right studios. I mean, it's possible. You never know. Banjo-Kazooie had a pretty solid, obviously, place on the Nintendo 64, so maybe, but I guess ultimately it's up to Sakurai, and maybe he's going to be there to show us who he picked. Next up, let's talk about Square Enix, because it looks like they are starting to be very interested in the Nintendo Switch. We see, obviously, Octopath Traveler. It's coming up this summer. Looks great. Looks like something right up my alley as an old school RPG fan. I'm all in on that one, definitely. But it sounds like they're going to be developing more for the Switch than just Octopath Traveler. We're not even necessarily talking about ports. We're talking about original games here, like obviously we see with Octopath Traveler. In fact, it seems like Square is keeping an eye on those sales just to see how well that audience reacts to an RPG like that. So if you are interested in it and you'd like to see more of these type of games from Square come to the Switch, maybe pick it up, when it comes out, because those sales seem at least to be a focal point for Square, just to keep an eye on and see how the market reacts to their games. But it looks like that division, the Octopath Traveler division, like the team behind it, kind of has now become its own studio division, and they're now working on several titles for the Switch. This was actually in an interview with the producer of Octopath Traveler with Game Informer saying, Square Enix has decided that it wants to focus on original titles for the Switch. If Octopath Traveler does well, and this is something that appeals to fans, we want to focus on Switch. Please pick up the Switch if you want to play games like Octopath Traveler. There are several other titles we're currently working on for Switch. So this is interesting, right? Because Octopath Traveler, when I saw it, I said, wow, that looks like something I really want to play because it reminds me of old school RPGs. It reminds me of old school Square, right? That's what it reminded me of. Of course, this is from the Bravely Default team, and they've been making these type of games on the 3DS. But man, I don't know, something about Octopath on the Switch, when you see it, the visual style, we got to play a pretty lengthy demo actually. It seems to show their confidence in the game. I'm pretty much sold on this game, and when I hear original games and not necessarily ports, it sounds like these could be exclusive games from Square for the Switch. It seems like the Switch's, I guess, install size is becoming larger and larger, and Square Enix is kind of like, maybe we should have a division just to design for this system, just in case it really takes off. Like, what if Octopath Traveler comes out and hits 1 million copies in like the first few months? That would be something to look at and say, oh, okay, yeah, let's make a bunch of games. And original games sound great because the creativity behind Octopath Traveler could lead to tons of creativity that we hadn't seen since the PS1 days. Seriously, if you go back and look at the PS1 games, RPGs that were coming out at that time, it was insane. There were so many creative ideas that were getting thrown around. I would like to see that. Like a smaller, it doesn't have to be AAA budgets or anything like that, but like just kind of go back to the roots, make RPGs that we used to play, kind of put that really nice shine on it, and I mean, I'm in for that. If they keep it straight up JRPG in that sense, yeah, I'm very interested. I hope Octopath does well. And I hope they continue designing original games that we don't really see as much now. And our last bit of news, if you're going to E3, well, get excited because not only do we get to play Smash Bros, I'm sure a bunch of other games, it sounds like Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee will be playable on the show floor. So it doesn't sound like something you'll be able to reserve like you're doing with Smash, but you'll be able to try the game out, which is great news because I wasn't sure originally if they would have it playable, but according to Sarah B, it does look to be the case. This was on their website saying, it has been announced that the upcoming Nintendo Switch titles, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, are to be playable on the E3 show floor in Los Angeles next week, allowing for attendees to give the new systems a shot. I also saw Takashi Machizuki make these same comments, so yes, it does appear that if you go to E3, you'll be able to stop by, I assume, several different stations that you can play these at, and that's gonna be really cool because that means we're gonna get a ton of footage. I'm very curious to see if it's going to be on the TV or if they're gonna have them in handheld form, because of course, if it's on the TV, we can more than likely get actual captured direct feed footage rather than kind of just over the shoulder with a camera. I'd much rather see it, what it's gonna look like in docked mode first, just to get an idea. But, I mean, handheld's gonna be pretty important too for a lot of 3DS gamers who come over specifically for this. Honestly, they might prefer just to play it in handheld mode and not even think about the TV, but it's going to be great. E3 is coming. It's less than a week away, and man, it looks like it's going to be crazy with all of these games showing up, and then some that even haven't been announced yet. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for Newswave today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, guys. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu being playable at E3. Let me know if you're going, because that's going to be really neat to see that footage come out. I really want to see what people's impressions are, like if they let you, like, you know, throw the Pokeball with the remote and everything, see what happens there and see how well that actually works with people doing that in co-op and everything. Also, let me think about Square Enix doing some original games for the Switch with a whole new division just for that. How do you think Octopath Traveler is going to do? Do you think that's going to open up Square's eyes a bit here to the Switch and they're going to say, well, let's get creative, let's make some more original games? Because it sounds like they already have some in development, and maybe if Octopath does well, they dump more money in that division to get these games going faster. That could be really cool. Also, what do you think Sony has up their sleeves for today and the rest of the week? Because it sounds like they have so many announcements, they're just dropping them every day leading up to E3. It's exciting, but we'll see what they have. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.